My word, what a topic. Whew. It was made popular or brought to the fore by a film called Enter the Dragon, which every martial artist would have seen, I would have thought, by Bruce Lee. Now Bruce Lee was a superb martial artist, an athlete, brought martial artists to the fore, dragged it up by its shoelaces, so to speak. We all loved him. However, he was a movie star as well, so some of his screen work was doubtful. It was impossible, in fact. The problem I have with the Nunchaku sequence is it was fabled, because a lot of the work in it was pointless. The swiveling around this, that was pointless. He made it look simple. It's not. It is not a simple weapon to use. But what it did do is cut away two of the uses of Nunchaku that people don't practice, don't even look at, because all they see is that sequence. Obviously we've got swinging as the first one. Jite, striking with the weapon, is its second one. Using it as a baton, not just for swinging it. I'll cut it in this excerpt and show different reasons what I mean about distance. Because if you're in a melee and people are coming out, if someone's closed your distance, you need to get them away. You need to drive this at them to release your nunchaku for the full swing. If someone comes on tight to you and you're here, you need to jite them away, jite them in the sternum, jite them in the throat. Get them away to open your nunchaku. But the third one was the ability to crush with it, or capture as I like to call it. Because in the days of yore, when club doormen used weapons and kept them concealed in various cupboards and hatches above the door, the martial artists amongst us used to use nunchaku. But it was one of the best weapons to remove someone from a nightclub, because as soon as you lock on, it is total compliance. Lock onto the fingers, put the pressure on, and you only need a touch. Lock onto the throat, get into the throat, get them in. You can put a sleeper on someone, they're out like that. Lock onto the wrists, perform locks with them. And these are brilliant for taking people away. Okay, just to explain what I meant about the capture or the locking of limbs and fingers. The nunchaku is like a vice. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now the pressure applied is minimal, because all you need, the one you touch, Eric, is that. That's about it. You have to be very careful, because there's no feeling in this. If I was putting a lock on with my hand, I can feel it. With this, no feeling. You'll be very careful in your training. That's it. If you come on and snap it on, just snap it straight on, you break the fingers immediately. What you've got then is a 100% compliant male, because you can also, once you've got his fingers in position from here, you can manipulate, so you can put your locks on, can't go anywhere. It's the same with the wrist, it's the same with the ankles. What is beautiful is the neck coming in from here. This is just that movement, that movement. Now because you're cutting off the carotenoids, you'll put him to sleep in moments. But you have to be careful in your training. But this placed on here can bring him into the playing point, because it's a lock, and to lock you need the string to be this wide. Okay, in order to lock, one thing that has to work is the cord. Now I string the cords, which at the end of this there's a sequence telling you how to string your nunchaku. But basically, a nunchaku was brought into the movies with a cord this side. It was also chain, which made a nice swishing noise, by the way. But in order to swing your nunchaku around your body, you have to have the cord at this length. Because what it does, it locks under your elbow. It locks under here for the classic action of here, or coming under here. It locks under nicely. You don't even have to think about it, it pops under and you trap it. Practice that a dozen times and you can do it. However, with my nunchaku, which is strung with a shorter cord, I can't do that. But I have absolutely no need or reason to swing a nunchaku and hold it under my arm. I've certainly no reason to put it there. And I'll tell you why. when you're hitting someone with an object, just because it's a weapon doesn't mean to say they're undetermined and can't get past that impact, because there are men out there that don't feel pain. They're not interested in pain. They'll just do what they have to do. And if you're stood here like that and bring your nunchucker out with the flick of a wrist, it's not going to hurt them. You have to bring the nunchucker and smash it. So a position from here is a waste of time. A flick. Okay? Now, let's look at a real strike. That's when you hit it. A little story, there's two stories I'm going to tell about nunchucker by two people who I have seen use nunchuck practically. The first one was in London, and there was a discussion going on, and a young lad brought out from his back a set of nunchucker and stood like that and said, "Oi, do one." All words to that effect. Unfortunately for him, behind him was Ronnie Colwell, who immediately bear hugged him and bit his ear off. Now I know that sounds awful, but that's what happened. He had his nunchucker here, and Ronnie he was just slightly offside, put the bear hug on him, trapped his nunchucker and bit the bottom of his earlobe off. Took the nunchucker from him, and we won't go into any detail from after that. That's because he'd wrapped himself up in the movies. He thought this is where you held a nunchucker. No. You hold a nunchucker here. This is where you hold a nunchucker. Because had he have done that, he might have been able to jitte. He might have been able to jitte. He might have been able to jitte Ronnie from behind. He might have been able to get to his face with his nunchucker. But no, he trapped himself off because he'd seen the movies, and this is where you hold a nunchucker. Nunchucker are held here. This is where they're held. If someone comes up behind you, you can get into them with it. You can get into the groin. You can get into the face. It's all about its baton work. Well, we move on now to one of my annoyances in the nunchucker, and it's the string. Right, okay. The string. I've been given these to cord, and I looked at them and I said my words and I said no. Everyone watching this, well not everyone, will wonder why my cord's that big. I've had complaints about when I string nunchuck. Oh, look at the cord's too short. No, it's not. It's the only way you can trap. And when I say that, it's dead simple to explain. One of my cuttings in shortly will explain that to full. But I can't trap with these. I just can't do it. I certainly can't do it one-handed. I need two, and you need to wrap. They just don't trap. So you've taken out something as well. Plus, when you're swinging a nunchuck and these drop, look where they drop. You've got to get it up to get your baton in. They just don't function properly. They're no good trying this application with your movie string. It just isn't. Just passes your hand, Eric. I'll do this simply. Look at that. It doesn't work. If you try for the fingers, you just can't get it on. And if you're farting about, they'll just punch you in the face. As soon as you make contact, you need pain to stop him moving. If I start farting about and putting this on here and having to wrap it round here before it hurts him, it's going to crack me in the eye. It's the same with the throat. You come into here, look how much you've got to move it before there's pain. You need to be instant. So forget this nonsense, forget it. All that is to ensure that from here to here it spins under your arm. That's what it's used for, spinning under your arm. So when you come on here, it comes nicely, you catch it. Waste of time. The second story was about baton work, and it was Gary Spires. He used to work at the Carousel in Southport in the pool rooms. One Sunday afternoon there was a melee outside, and it turned out to be a group of lads kicking the hell out of a policeman who was on the floor. Gary at that time, we'd made him a set of aluminium nunchuck, and he'd had them put in a leather case so they didn't make a noise. So Gary picks his tool up, down he goes. But instead of swinging his nunchucker about, he just went boink, boink, boink and hit three. They went out cold, the others did one. And he managed to get the policeman up, got him down. He had a fractured jaw, the policeman. One of the lads was out cold, ambulance comes, Gary does one, gets back upstairs. Anyway, 20 minutes later, police sergeant comes into the Carousel. Now Gary's dressed in, quite lucky, he's dressed in flip-flops, dungarees, and he's got his beard down to here. And the policeman comes in and he walks up to Gary, and Gary's sat there. Yes, mate. Excuse me, mate. Have you seen a big fella, 6 foot odd, about 15, 16 stone, dungarees, big beard and flip-flops? And Gary looked him in the eye and says, no, mate, no one round here like that. That'll do me, says the copper. They shook hands and off the copper got. And it was out of respect for Gary that he did that, because he'd saved this young policeman. But I said to Gary, why didn't you swing your nunchuck? He said, because, Dig, they were close enough for me to hit them. Practical, that's all it was. It was about the practical application of that nunchucker. He didn't have the time or the position to start swatting people around. Plus, when you start doing that, people watch it. He was that quick with bump, 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 bump. It was done. Nunchucker away. Causes no issues. But he used them as a baton. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's say I've ridiculed the sequence of nunchucker. And to be fair, I'm looking at purely as a combative action. There is skill involved in doing the twizzing, no question about it. But it's a display skill. If your line of using nunchuck is display only, carry on. If it's kata, carry on. But don't confuse the two, because I'm saying that for your sake. Because if you believe spinning the nunchuck around in thin air will help you protect yourself when required, it won't. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying stop, I'm not saying don't practice, I'm just saying get the two camps. Display, combat. There's a completely different thing. All I'm doing is cutting out the unnecessary stuff, making it practical, real and simple. For instance, technique of swapping hands. We all know these different things. We've seen them in the movies, swapping hands, okay? And we spin them round. I'm not particularly good at it because I don't practice it. Why? I'll show you how to swap hands. If I'm here, I swap my hand. Swap it, swap it, swap it, swap it. What is more simple than that? Swapping my hands. If I'm here and I need to swap it, I can swap it. It does not have to travel around the back. And before you say, oh, well, it comes over the back so I can make a swipe here with this left hand. No, your mind doesn't process information that quickly. It will in the movies because it's staged. It's staged to be able to do that. But in the melee, the brain doesn't process things that quickly. It can just stand there, swap people around like flies. No. So if you want to swap hands, pass the nunchucker over. If you want to use this side, use that side. Pass it. You don't have to swivel it. All I'm trying to depict is to change your thought into the combat camp as opposed to the display camp. I'm not saying that you should. I'm not saying that. I'm saying understand there are two separate camps in using this weapon. There's a camp that will spin around and practice and do lovely katas and wonderful strikes, making all these postures. That's the display camp. I do believe now that when people are using their nunchucker, they're getting that high that they're holding them at the top so they can spin them quick, and they've got lights on in kata display. Lights on the nunchucker. Not for me. So, put yourself in the camp, or at least admit which camp you're in. If you're currently in a display camp, you want to jump over, think about what you have to do. I'm always on the inbox. Ask questions, I've not a problem with that. But think about it. If you want to stay in that camp, fine, that's your. But don't confuse the two, because you will not succeed if you practice in thin air juggling. When some big man jumps up outside in your back garden and you reach for your nunchucker, you'll hurt yourself. Trust me on that one. Okay, another thing about spinning. One thing I do practice, but it's purely to build the forearm up and the strength and application of the twist in the nunchucker when we hit. Most people when they spin will come over the top, because that's what we do, get to here, right? Spin up, 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 up. The reason being is that it strengthens the forearm. Take the nunchucker at the end, not here, that's easy. That won't work here. Take it here at the end and spin the nunchucker up, up, and do it for hours. Spin it up, 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 and you'll feel your forearm burnt. And make sure that when you do it, you just keep at it, because that's what will develop the striking forearm that's required in it. Spin it upwards. Not down, down's with gravity. Spin it up. Cut the nunchucker up. Do it both hands. Time and time again. So instead of spinning it round your body, spin it at the front. What would I do to practice? What have I done to practice? To get my nunchucker into combat value, not display value. Strikes, cross strikes, from here, cross strikes, cut strikes, down across, low strikes coming into the knees, all strikes, but hit things. Certainly warm up on thin air, get your actions going, but hit things. Striking, so you hit something, always hit something. Bags, whatever I use, dead trees, don't use live ones. Dead. For instance, we use uraken in martial arts. Nunchaku has uraken, basically. It's very simple. There. That's uraken. I can't do that in thin air. Why can't I? Because I've nothing to bounce back on. It hits my own hand. So I can't practice that strike. And it's a good strike because you can go in ankle, knee, head. Done. 3 strikes. So the practicality sometimes of training with an object is far better than if not. So practice the swings, practice cross cuts, cross X cuts, but the cuts, the weapon must come in and across, it mustn't stop. The other thing that's important is the catch. The catch is all important because as I've ranted about right the way through this video, is where to hold a nunchucker. Okay? People before will be obsessive in getting it back to here or getting it back underneath. No, not me. I want it here in my hand. I want it as a kami, I want it as a baton, I want it as a lock, but I want it here so I can move it. And like I said, if I want to swap hands, I can. I must train so that when I finish a strike, it just pops back. 1, 2, it always pops back into my hand. No matter what I do, it comes back naturally. The catch. Practice the catch and strike, back to hand, strike, back to hand all the time. Once we've done this and you're used to it, get used to throwing the nunchucker out, throwing it out. From a kami posture, from here, throw the nunchucker out, get it back. So from here, not from under your arm, from here where it's in front of you, where it's a guard. Then throw it out, get it back in your hand so you've always got it. So summary for practice: strikes on bags, on objects, make it work, make it work. Get used to catching the nunchucker, get it back to hand, get used to throwing it out. Then of course you can work on your locks and your jite, making your jite strikes, get used to it. Most martial artists, all martial artists have a strike, they have a strike. So all you're doing is putting something in your hand and making a strike with it, where it is, groin, head, wherever, face, it's a strike. Use it as a striking weapon. We're going to target. Let's think about it. Below the ear is good for unconsciousness and safe. Above the ear is dodgy. You strike the cranium above the ear around the temple with a nunchucker at full velocity, you have a chance of killing the person. So always bear that in mind. Below the ear, knockouts, neck, jaw, above, dodgy. The same if you come over the top with a strike to the top of the head if you're hitting full on. Dodgy outcomes. And whether the situation warrants that, it's totally down to your Okay, let's summarise my thoughts on the nunchucker. Is it my first weapon of choice? No, it's not. The reason is basic simplicity. For instance, a short pole, 3x2, baseball bat. You don't need any training, it just works. This needs a lot of training. But having said that, it's a fantastic weapon for its 3 uses. 3 uses: swinging the weapon, making your cuts, making your strike. That's where the practice needed. Secondly, your jites, your baton work, using it as a baton. And thirdly, using it as a vice, trapping fingers, putting locks on, putting chokes on. 3 great uses. Looking at it, you can't see it when it's in the back. It's just not there. It's quick to the draw. but you need to work out what is practical. Firstly, the nunchaku, good solid piece of wood. At the end of the clip, I show you how to string it. The string has to be the correct length to be able to utilise all three usages. It has to be hexagonal. It has to be hexagonal to lock as a batten, and also the sharp bits cut. They cut if you're hitting bones, they cut if you're coming into the jaw. Knowing how to hold the nun, that is where you hold your nunchucker. Not here, not practicing for your katas and your spinning. It has no use whatsoever. It cocks your distance. Look at the difference between that and holding it there. You've got that much distance. A good kicker will pick you off. If you're a short man like me and I hold my nunchucker there, I can still be kicked even though I'm stretching it out. Get it out there. Get that weapon out there. Utilise the distance it gives you. Make sure that when you get a set of nunchucker, you have them made. Any joiner in your town will make them, but he needs to make them so the hole's correct. It's good solid wood. The wall depth is right on the nunchucker, and also it needs to be that they fit in your hand when they're doubled. That's where the comfort needs, not the one, the two, because you've got your third usage for it. If you've got a great big pair of fat nunchucker, your hand can't get around it. And those pencil ones I see sometimes, about as thick as that, no good. You need a bit of weight behind them to give you the consistency of a hit. So all in all, look at your own nunchucker and question them. Look at the techniques you've been using. Look at the systems that you've been thrown at you. Forget about juggling. If you want to do it and do kata, fine. But don't pretend yourself that you can use them. Again, let me stipulate, if you're practicing with nunchucker, practice your strikes. Practice your cuts with a nunchucker. Down, across, everything against an object, a bag, a speedball, whatever. I've used trees for years, not big heavy things all the time, because they have no give. But get used to hitting them. Get used to recovering off the hit. Then you can start to say, yeah, I can use this nunchucker. Then you can pick them up and step out if you need to. Because remember, they don't always work. You might be in a hallway and someone's coming at you. You're not going to pick them out and try and swing at them. You'll have to use another way of using the nunchucker. You can utilise them any way you like when they're a batten. It's very simple. It's batten work. So, again, look at yourself. Get hold of your own nunchuck and say, they're crap. Just be honest with yourself. Look, I don't know everything about it, but what I do know is the practicality about this weapon. And I'm sick of seeing instructors fart about with them, teaching 1.5 minutes of Bruce Lee, because it doesn't work like that. Forget spinning them. Rant over. Okay, cordage for the nunchucker. Today I'm going to string Terry O'Neill's nunchucker. He's asked me to do them, so I will. Basically, I've always traditionally plaited my cord, as you've seen in my nunchucker here. Dogs, be quiet! As you've seen in my own, because 4 cords are better than 1. But one of the reasons is the fact that all nunchucker have a certain diameter hole here, and that is crucial, depending on the type of wood. That one there isn't exactly plumb centre, but what you need is a strong wall. This must be a strong wall, because if it doesn't, when you're doing the crush actions, for instance, like so, the crush action, you don't want the wall splitting when you put on the maximum pressure, because you do put on maximum pressure. You're trying to create a pain, so you don't fart about, you crush it. So you can't have the wall splitting, so that means you need a small hole. Now, in the case of these damn strings here, the hole is huge, but this wood is the hardest I've seen, so it averages itself out. But there's not a lot you can do with these types of this thick string. It's just one piece, and you could probably pull, in fact you can pull that out, so it's not secure. And also the fact that there's little you can do with it to lock it much, so plait in the future. Now in the case of this one, this hole is particularly small, so I've gone for a smaller cordage like that. Normally that's the type of cordage I would use, but we're going for a slightly smaller cordage because you just couldn't get 4 pieces in. So let's have a look what I've done. As they say in Blue Peter, this is one I prepared earlier. Always sear the ends off, of course. Just put them over a flame and sear them off. But what I've always done with my Nunchaku cord is 48 hours I tie a weight to it and let it stretch, because once we've got the Nunchaku the length we like, which is what we've already discussed, the length we like, once you've plaited it and you start swinging about, if the cord isn't stretched, it will extend. So instead of the cord, say, being that long where you've strung it, once you've swung it around a bit, you might get another 1/4 of an inch, which that's not the length you want. So if you put a weight on it, takes all the stretch out of the cord, and that's the way to do it. But you'll need tools, a good pair of pliers and a piece of wire or a clip, which I've just dropped on the floor, a lady's hair clip. I'll pick it up in a minute, because once the string starts getting entwined, you have to use these implements to get the cordage through the holes, but we'll explain. Of course, you need a good old knife to cut at the end, and those are your tools. So let's have a little look at the first procedure. Of course, we've got the 2 lengths of string. Major thing, make sure your string's long enough. Nothing worse than going through all the work, plaiting it, and then finding out you run out of cordage. So this is the easy bit, coming through first, especially with the size of string I've chosen. So it's a up and under, through, and the same goes here. An up and under and through, and the first one is a piece of proverbial, and that is where we're looking at. See, the cord's hidden nicely in there, and that gives us 4 strands now, which of course, when entwined, is a lot stronger than a single one. So the next procedure is plaiting. Now, plaiting is an art. I quite enjoyed it in my youth, but I shall stew you a little bit. Is that on camera? Yeah, just a bit. So what we're going to do now is just plait it through. That's all, nice and simple. So there we are, a nice piece of plait. It's the length I'm happy with. It's what Sensei O'Neill wanted. So we will carry on now, and we have to delve through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down, through, back, and then out to the top again. So I'll crack it, and this is where we'll need our tools, our threading tools. Won't be as bad with this cordage, but there's no way, for instance, I could have doubled that up. It just wouldn't have worked with the size of holes we've got to play with. So let me have a crack and I'll get back. Okay, I've gone, can we see that? Yeah, just adjust my little tripod. We've come down and through each side. Now this is quite a crucial point here, because we need to lock off the cordage, and when you've got big cordage, these are the things you can't do. So what I like to do is bring that through there and that through there, and because of the size of cordage, we can do this. And I always do it twice, because that then, even though you're tying it off when we finish, locks the cord nice and tight. So when you're spinning and thrashing the things around, they don't fall off it. I always remember a student of mine thought he could do his own cordage, and I looked and I said, they'll come off. He said, no, they won't. Well, within half an hour, there were one section of Nunchaku flew off, and actually someone else was spinning them, and they missed him by about 6 inches, if ever calmer. So that's locked now. Now I've got to get this through here and back out, and this is why we need our bit of kit, so to speak. It's tricky and it's fiddly, no question about that. So patience is the thing. Patience is the thing. We'll have a go at this one. Like I say, I'll probably knock the camera off to do them all, because you don't want to sit and watch me doing this. Come on, baby, come through. There we go. That's how it works, and I've got to do 4 of those, hence why we need the thing and the pliers, because sometimes it gets a bit tough on the old finger. So that will pull through once we get the next one through, and the next, and so on. So I'll complete that and get back. Okay, after a bit of a fiddling, shall we say, we've got the 4 cords back up now. You can see why I used a slightly thinner cord, because you've got 8 strands going through there, and this is where the strength behind this cordage method is. it would have been, like I say, it would have been very difficult to get 8 strands of that. In fact, it's impossible because the hole isn't large enough in diameter. So that's where we are now. So what we have to do now is tie her off and then fire seal it. So I shall do that. That's the tie off. Everything's now nice and solid. I'll nip these ends off with the old blade and then I'll fire seal. Now we just flame seal the knot. Can't keep a flame out in the wind, so I shall go indoors and finish this. So as you can see, that's the final finished article. There, nice and tight, sealed off there, knots come through. Totally different to that load of crap there. Can you see that? That bollocks. It's locked here, locked in this position, so it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to move from that point. The cordage has been stretched, so you can flail these about as much as you want, and they won't come undone, and they won't stretch further than that, and it's perfect for locking. See that there, as I've explained, locks the hand off with hardly any movement. There's your tap point. These damn things don't lock. You'd have to fart about, as I've explained anyway, you get me drift. So there you go. Sensor and he'll be pleased with that. Beautiful. Have a go, folks. Have a go.